All right, good morning. Well, good afternoon, actually. It's afternoon now. 1:15 to be exact. It is, what the heck day is it? It's Monday, November 20th. And I'm taking this out for a test. This is my camera that I got a couple of weeks ago. And I did a test video with it, but I realized after I got that uploaded that it didn't look that great. So I looked and I had my settings wrong. I had my resolution too low on it. It was not set at the highest possible resolution. Now it is. So we're going to do this again. We're going to do a short test video, and I'll catch up on what's been going on while we're doing it. So I have not worked for about 2 weeks hauling trailers because of Bill's situation. I decided to stay home until he gets through his treatment, the first phase of his treatment, because I was really worried about him. He wasn't doing all that great. He's doing better now. He's actually doing considerably better now, and I think he might have been still trying to get over the after effects of COVID, because he wasn't feeling all that great. But so the good news is he's feeling better, and the other good news is he's feeling good enough to take himself to New Orleans for his treatment, so I can stay home and watch the critters, which means we don't have to have somebody come and house and critter sit for us while he's down there. He hadn't been feeling good like for the past couple of weeks, and finally one day he said, I would like you to go to New Orleans with me, because I just don't feel like I want to do it by myself. I'm like, okay. I'm like, but we'll have to get somebody to stay here with the animals, because we can't leave. We don't have anybody here in this area who's reliable. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they're just not reliable. You know, they're not going to stay out here at the house and critter sit. So knowing that, I said, well, I'll try and get somebody on my side to do it. So I let my brothers and sisters know, that ones that, well, I didn't ask my youngest brother because he lives farther away and he's got his own stuff going on. So I didn't want to really ask him, but I asked my two sisters and my other brother if somebody would be able to, if it wasn't too big of a deal, too big of an ask, if they could come and house it for us while we were down in New Orleans getting his treatment, because he's got to be there like almost 10 days. So my sisters couldn't do it. My younger sister, her husband is also having cancer treatment, so I didn't think she'd be able to. But my older sister just used up all of her vacation, so she's a lot farther away. She's clear out in the DC area. So my brother Wes, the one who does the videos at Backroads of Colorado, which, by the way, if you haven't seen his videos, you need to go watch them. Beautiful scenery. Especially this last video he posted up. It's kind of like the end of fall, but man, the colors, the trees, just gorgeous. He's always got my back. He has always come to my aid when I need it. And he said that he would do it. And it was a big imposition. It was a big ask. It was a huge imposition on him, but he was willing to do it. And so I got to call him the other day. Bill started feeling better, and he said, I think we can just do this. I can just go by myself and you can stay here. I'm like, okay, well, I'll let him know. So we did, and he was relieved. But he was willing to do it. He's always got my back. So thanks, Wes. Seriously. I appreciate your willingness. It's one of those deals. So anyway, I'm going to be at home for another 2 weeks at least, not hauling anything. I already cleared it through my hauling company, the load guy. He's like, yeah, whatever, family's more important. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. So they're cool with it. They know what's going on, and they know I'm not going to be in until probably the second week of December now. Somewhere around the 6th of December, maybe I can start working again. Depends on how his treatment goes, and how he responds to it and all that. But he's had the same kind of treatment before. It's just a different isotope they're using this time. So he kind of knows more what to expect. And we'll see how it goes. So that's going to happen Saturday. He's going to leave to head down to New Orleans. And then he'll be gone all week. So in the meantime, this is Thanksgiving week. And I'm going to actually be making a couple of pies to take over to my sister-in-law's house on Friday. They never have Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. I don't know why, but they just don't. They usually have it on a Friday or Saturday after. Probably everybody's work schedules, are all combobulated. It's a heck of a word, isn't it? I think it's a word. I mean, there's discombobulated, so combobulated should also be a word. But I'm going to make a couple of pies. I'm always like, well, what do you want us to bring? And she's like, nothing. I'm like, okay, so I'll make pies. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll get through Thanksgiving, and then he can go get his treatment and that. So I'm checking this camera basically to test the resolution and to see if it's going to work on the mount I've got it on. I've got just a very simple mount. And I think it's going to be okay. It looks like it's pretty stable. I mean, it's going to go where the truck dashboard goes, no matter what, because that's what it's stuck to. So, but I think this is going to be okay. Now, if we can just get good enough quality video, that's the big question. Is it going to be worth it or not? If it's not, I'm going to pack it back up and send it back, and I guess keep trying to fix the Sony. So in the meantime, let's see, what have I covered? I've covered Bill's situation, covered Wes being willing to come and cover for me, but not having to, or what I'm doing with the camera, that I'm not working. So I guess the only other thing I've got to talk about really is what I've been doing the last couple of days, and that is catching up on my eBay stuff, listing, processing, mostly processing stuff. I went through a bunch of it last night. I've got a whole entire shelf full of stuff yet to do, and a lot of that is silverware, and that's going to take some time, but I'm going to try and get the shelf cleared out today and tomorrow, get it completely done and get everything processed and boxed, and then I can start on the silverware. I've got a lot of that. Get all of that stuff, and then in the meantime, like what I do is I work on processing for however long it takes me to fill up my data card on the camera, and I can get about 300 pictures out of that small data card, and then I'll go and download those to my computer, and then I'll go back and redo it. And as I'm taking pictures, I'm also writing down the details for each item, what it is, what size it is or whatever, measurements, weights, things like that, what size of a box it's going to go in. So I do all that, so when I go to list it, I've got all that information right in front of me. And I sat down yesterday and processed about 55 items, and I've got probably another 100 to go. So it goes pretty quick now that I've got kind of a system for it, and I've kind of got a method I get into a groove with it. So I'll be glad to get that all done, because the sooner I get that done, the sooner I've got all that stuff listed, the sooner it's going to get sold, and then, hopefully the sooner we're going to make some income off of it. There's just different ways of making money. We're trying to think of various ways to do this, and these are my two best avenues right now, is hauling trailers and doing eBay. I've been doing actually really well on eBay for just a part-time supplemental thing. I think since April. I started back on eBay in April. I've always sold a little bit of stuff on eBay, but not in earnest, But since I kind of went into it more as an actual store, I have an actual store, then I've been able to, actually earn some decent money from it. And I had a lot of stuff. I didn't have to buy anything at first. I just had a lot of old stock, old jewelry especially, that I listed up. And a lot of that sold really fast because it was nice stuff, nice costume jewelry. The sparkly stuff that girls like. We all like it, Well, I shouldn't say we all do. A lot of us like it. I like it. But so that's one of my avenues of income, and revenue stream, if you want to call it that. And I've been doing on average about $1,000 a month in sales. Now that's not how much I'm clearing, obviously. I'm probably clearing like 2/3 of that. So $500 or $600 a month clear after taxes, all the sales costs, fees, shipping, all of that. So even so, that's pretty good for a very part-time type deal, because I haven't been putting all that much time into it. I haven't been working, even 20 hours a week at it. We go occasionally together, but we go at least once a week, and one or the other of us will go look at a yard sale or whatever. But yard sale season is over here, so there's not going to be much of that going on. We're going to have to rely strictly on estate sales, which, that's one of those things. Or if I see something good on Marketplace or whatever. But it's getting to the point now where so many people are aware that you can make money, reselling things, that even like at the thrift stores, their prices have gone through the roof. They're thinking, well, why are we selling it cheap enough for other people to come buy it and then just resell it again? So thrift stores are getting to not be a good place to look anymore. I mean, you can look, but you're not going to find a whole lot. You have to really have a real lucky day to find something that they haven't jacked the price way up on, especially Goodwill. I guess Savers out east are getting really, really highfalutin, But they're catching on that there's money to be made. Well, there is, but it's not necessarily from the people who are walking into a thrift store looking for something. Because if you're in a thrift store, you don't want to pay full retail, right? That's the whole idea of a thrift store, is to get something less expensive. So I don't know how that business model is going to turn out for them. We'll see. Doesn't really matter. I'm still going to be able to source, because there's always going to be estate sales. And those have been my best sourcing. Garage sales and estate sales have been my best avenues of sourcing. Absolutely. The best. So, those are always going to happen. They're just not going to happen much now until next spring. Because, like I say, we're in the end of November now. And we've actually had a pretty fall. The trees have got nice color to them. We're starting to lose the leaves on some of them now. We're getting down into the bottom of the fall. But it's been pretty this year. A lot of years it just gets cold, or we'll get a big wind and it just blows everything off, but it's been nice. And that's really all I had planned to talk about, was just kind of a basic catch-up type of thing while I'm out here testing this camera. So I think I'll head back down the highway toward home. This doesn't have to be a super long video. It just has to be long enough that I can test how well it's going to process. If it's going to process extremely slowly because of the highest resolution, I want to look at the video quality. And I also want to make sure this camera isn't getting too hot. It's pretty hot. I don't know, that might be an issue. But they all get hot, so I don't know. But I can run it on batteries only, and they recommend that. They said if you plug it in, it gets hot. Well, it gets hot running it on batteries too, so I'm not sure which is worse. But we will see. I generally don't run the camera like all day long. I'll run it for a couple hours and turn it off, or run it for an hour and turn it off, or if I see something cool or I'm in a neat area, run it as long as, you know, as long as it takes to get through that. Or if I'm just in a chatty mood, I might run it, that kind of thing. It is pretty warm. It wasn't hot the other day. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I need to put some air up on it. Try that and see if it helps. That might help. I got some cool air blowing up on it from the defroster. Can't hurt it. I mean, you know. But at the same time, I can't run around all winter with cold air blowing in the defroster. It might be cold out. I guess I should get up to speed here. I'm just kind of putting along. But I've got a truck coming up behind me. I don't want to be going so slow that I annoy him. This little camera's, I mean, it's kind of impressive, I think. If this turns out to be a good video, I will keep it and run it and see how well it does for how long. It's really not that expensive of a camera. I think it was like, I can't even remember what I paid for it now. $300? Somewhere in the $300 or $400 ballpark, I think. Maybe $5. But we'll see how it goes. So we had some really good fortune here in the last couple of weeks. We actually closed on the little house we had at the lake. This wasn't a fancy lake house. This wasn't like what you would think if you think of a lake house, maybe. This was a little brick house, 1,100 square feet. We never lived in it because we never got it completely remodeled. But when we bought it, it was just termite infested. We didn't know it. Our termite inspector didn't really inspect it, and he didn't warn us, or we wouldn't have probably bought it. But we did, so we had to gut it down to the studs. We had to replace a lot of the floor joists and the studs in the walls, and then we had to treat it, like super treat it for termites so they would never come back. So we put a lot of time and effort into rebuilding it structurally, but we never got all the pretty stuff put in it. Bill got busy with his business, and then he got sick, so, you know, we just never got it done. So it wasn't like a fancy place, and we knew that it was going to be very hard to sell it. Something that's, you know, stud walls, no insulation, and then just, you know, plain plywood floors. Well, we actually doubled up on the plywood on the floor too and put in like a interlocking 2-layer plywood floor, nice and sturdy. Anyway, we got it sold, and we didn't get a whole bunch out of it, but we got enough to pay off the house up here, the farm, and have a little bit extra to put in savings. So that was really awesome. And we closed on it last Wednesday, I think. So that's a done deal, and it's just fantastic because it's going to save us like $12,000 a year because we're not paying out our mortgage payments anymore. Now, obviously, we still had to pay for our house. It wasn't like we got out of paying for it, but it's paid for, and we don't have mortgage payments. We don't pay any more interest, so it really cut down on our amount of money that we have to lay out every year. It's fantastic. And when I talk about the farm isn't like a 100-acre farm or anything. It's a 12-acre piece of land that used to be a homestead for the people who settled on this land back in the 50s or 40s or whatever. They had already parted out all the land around us and sold it to our neighbor who lives north of us. So he owns everything around us, but we've still got 12 acres and the house and some outbuildings, a barn, a couple of barns. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the farms. It's not like a big, horse farm in Kentucky or anything. It's just a little piece of ground with some barns on it and some room if we want to get like a calf or something to raise for beef, we can do it. We've got enough land to do that, kind of that kind of a deal. And Bill's talking about that now. I don't really want to do that, but if he wants to, I'll let him. I'm just not going to go out and get acquainted with the calf. I don't want to eat anything that's a pet, you know what I mean? So I have to not make a pet of it. Just have to be sensible about it. Because I do like my beefsteak. I really do. But anyway, we got it paid off, so we own this free and clear now. I'm so freaking happy. It's like the best thing ever. I hate owing money. I hate being in debt. I really severely detest it. And I don't want to do it anymore. Ever. So this is our own little piece of ground here. We absolutely own it. So anyway, on that happy note, I'm going to end this test video, and either you'll see it because the quality was nice and I want to show you how well this camera performed, or you'll never see it because it was junk and I'll send it back. So one way or the other, you'll either never know and won't care, or you'll know and maybe be happy. I don't know. It would make me happy. So anyway, thanks for riding along, and I'll see you in the next episode.